Reverse and walk, is it a god or a demon? Only in a moment's thought. Sword breaks through the sky and clouds, stepping on the demon and demon sects, the world and the earth, I am the only one. To break through the heavens, one must go through 9 transformations. Book Friend Group 233757328 Keywords of the novel. Ultimate Kendo without pop-ups. Download the complete collection of Ultimate Kendo TXT, and read the latest chapters of Ultimate Kendo. Chapter 1. Yi Yu. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Qianming sect, located in the eastern part of Tianyuan continent, is a medium-sized small sect in the Lingyuan Mountains. The vast sky just revealed a hint of white fish belly. The mountains are also shrouded in a thick layer of mist. But the disciples of Qianming's sect had already gotten up early and were practicing in the morning on the square. The Qianming sect front courtyard square is a huge vacant area that can accommodate tens of thousands of people. Thousands of young girls wearing purple-brown uniforms are waving their swords, practicing a set of familiar knife techniques with their big knives. There are also some slightly older disciples competing with each other, each showing extraordinary abilities. Good news, good news. Senior brother Yan Feng has broken through again, Another Ningyuan realm expert has appeared in our outer gate. At this moment, in a small alley on the east side of the front courtyard square, a young man in a purple-brown robe, blushing and waving his arms in cheers, came out and ran towards the outer gate of the Elder Hall, cheering as he passed by the front courtyard. The disciples who were practicing in the morning, under the stimulation of this sound, stopped one by one in shock and looked at the disciple named Shou, with a look of longing in their eyes. This senior brother named Yan Feng is only 16 years old. Oh my goodness! He entered the Ningyuan realm at the age of 16, and his future prospects are definitely infinite. A girl on the square said with envy, her eyes full of light. On our Tianyuan continent, cultivators cultivate their elemental energy, which can be divided into 9 realms. Juyuan realm, Ningyuan realm, Tongyuan realm, Huayuan realm, Qianxiu realm, Feiyu realm, and Holy realm. Senior brother Yan Feng reached Ningyuan realm at the age of 16, and according to his talent, he must reach Tongyuan realm at the age of 30. It is highly possible to reach Huayuan realm at the age of 60, and even enter Qianxiu realm before the age of 100. TSK. It is said that after entering Huayu realm, one can move mountains and overturn seas. Fist breaks through the sky, and he is proud of the world. I wonder if senior brother Yan Feng can enter Feiyu realm. It has become a legend. Another chubby-faced little girl also said towards him. A young man next to him walked over and shook his head, sighing, our cultivation journey has become increasingly difficult. Despite Yan Feng's fast cultivation speed, he entered the Ningyuan realm from a young newcomer within 2 years. Perhaps in the future, he will also slowly decline like past geniuses. On the path of cultivation, it becomes more and more difficult layer by layer. Some geniuses can enter the Ningyuan realm directly through the Juyuan realm as young newcomers in 1 or 2 years, but they want to enter the Tongyuan realm from the Ningyuan realm. Some people find it difficult to achieve even for a lifetime. Cut. I see you're jealous, the little girl beside her rolled her eyes. Yan Feng has broken through again. He is really a genius. In a corner of the square, a slender young man, about 1.75 meters long, held a green sword in his hand, his face turning shocked and disappointed. There was a hint of envy and longing in my eyes. Break through, break through. Anyway, Yi Yu, don't have his qualifications. Yi Yu shook his head dejectedly and slowly left the square with his sword, walking towards the courtyard on the left. Like many disciples of the Qianming sect, Yi Yu is an ordinary outsider with mediocre cultivation talents. In the 2 years since entering the Qianming sect, he has been a newcomer since childhood and has now reached the realm of the 4th level of Juyuan. It cannot be considered outstanding or outdated. At most, it can only be considered as a mediocre qualification. But the only difference from other disciples is that Yi Yu and Na Yanfeng are good friends from the same hometown, and they grew up together since childhood. Later, we joined the Qianming sect together, but for the past 2 years. I have always been simple and plain, but that Yanfeng became the first genius in the sect both inside and outside. Within a year, I entered the 5th level of the Jiyuan realm, and today, I have entered the Ningyuan realm again. It has to be said that Yi Yu feels very uncomfortable now. Being both human beings and practicing together, why is the difference so big? I remember when the two of them first entered the mountain gate, they practiced and worked hard together. The two of them refused to compromise and chatted and played together all day, but as time passed, Yan Feng's strength grew stronger. The distance between myself and him became increasingly distant, and their contact gradually became distant. Even when they met within the sect, they were like strangers. The other person's gaze and attitude. Yi Yu will never forget it in his lifetime. However, he also knew that on the path of cultivation, strength is paramount. Yan Feng has stronger strength and higher talent than himself. I'm not a person of the same level. Yi Yu cleared up his emotions for a long time along the way, gradually calming down his envious thoughts and stopping in a remote and dilapidated courtyard at the outer sect's residence. The name of this courtyard is Ziwen Yuan. Previously, there lived a senior sister from the inner gate here. It is said that this senior sister was accidentally poisoned by a strange poison during her outdoor training, and her body eventually rotted and died. Because of the unsightly death and the evil sect, these years have passed and there is no one living here, and there is no management within the sect. And everywhere was covered with weeds, trees, and dilapidated houses. When Yi Yu and Yan Feng first entered the Qianming sect, they were unaware of this story and often practiced here. After learning about it later, the two gradually became accustomed to it. But now, only Yi Yu is left to cultivate here. Ling Jian Piaoyuan, sweep across the world, sword shadow separation. In the desolate courtyard, a figure held a sword and swung a set of sharp swordsmanship back and forth. The swordsmanship was played out, and a faint elemental power was conjured up from the sword body. The power of a sword shot towards the half-human tall flowers, plants, and trees in the courtyard. Suddenly, sword shadows drifted everywhere in the courtyard. Extremely dazzling. But Yi Yu knew how limited the power of these sword techniques was. These swordsmanship skills have been practiced by him for a whole 2 years, and a set of swordsmanship skills is played with a certain touch. But if you face someone, there is no doubt that he will lose. After all, in the Tianyuan continent, cultivators all cultivate their elemental energy, and elemental power is like power, with great power. The greater the power displayed by oneself. Moreover, cultivating vitality requires the cultivation of martial arts techniques, which have 3 levels from low to high. Human, earth, and heaven. For example, one's own level of martial arts can help people cultivate to the level of Tongyuan, and in order to move forward, one must cultivate higher level martial arts. Because the higher the level, the stronger the required vitality, the only way to start is from the cultivation method. So, prefecture-level martial arts can elevate the practitioner's cultivation of vitality to a higher level. Just like Yi Yu now, he only cultivates a low-level beginner-level skill, and the energy accumulated during cultivation is not only slow. Moreover, the vitality in the Dantian is far inferior to that of those disciples who practice intermediate or even master-level martial arts. Even if disciples at the same level compete in martial arts, due to their low martial arts skills and inferior Dantian vitality, Yi Yu is not a match for anyone else. So, on the Tianyuan continent, cultivation techniques are very important for practitioners. However, due to the scarcity of ground-level and even sky-level martial arts, many cultivators are unable to advance due to the cultivation of human-level martial arts. And these sects, if you want to exchange for higher martial arts, only by accumulating their own contributions to the sect can they be exchanged. CC. As Yi Yu was refining his sword, a crisp laughter like a copper bell rang in his ear. Subconsciously, Yi Yu withdrew his sword from his hand and frowned as he looked towards the direction of the sound. Due to its remote location in the legendary story, few people usually came to the Purple Aster Academy. But surprisingly, someone else came here today besides myself. After turning her head, she saw a young girl sitting on a large stone in the corner of the wall behind her. The girl was dressed in a small blue robe and didn't look like the sect uniform of the Qianyuan sect. She had a pair of watery eyes, a delicate melon seed face, and a small dimple when she smiled, with thin lips. When laughing, a row of white front teeth appeared. If it were an ordinary girl with thin lips and exposed front teeth when smiling, she would definitely look ugly, but this girl not only doesn't have that feeling, but also looks very comfortable and beautiful. Even his head was tied with two long tails, which looked both delicate and charming. At this moment, the girl is holding a green sugarcane in her hand. Laughing and nibbling on sugarcane, looking towards Yi Yu. At this moment, Miaoling's body stood up from the stone, waving the sugarcane in her hand a few times, holding it in her hand, and walking towards Yi Yu with a smile, saying, "You have refined a set of human-level sword skills like this. I really don't know if I should admire you, or if you are stupid. Is sword refining like you do?" The girl rolled her eyes. Yi Yu looked puzzled. Who is this girl? It seems like he's 1 or 2 years younger than himself, but he's teaching himself a lesson. Before Yi Yu could speak, the girl snatched Yi Yu's Qingyuan sword and said, "Fool, look at me." The girl jumped away, holding a sugarcane in her left hand and a sword in her right hand. Following Yi Yu's previous swordsmanship, she saw a row of weeds in front of her cut completely. Just one sword is several times more powerful than Yi Yu's previous 10 swords and 100 swords. Oh my goodness! These low-level sword techniques are so powerful. Yi Yu was somewhat surprised. The elemental techniques, like the martial arts, were divided into human, earth, and heaven. Each level can be divided into low-level, intermediate, and high-level levels. Yi Yu was familiar with the sword techniques he had practiced, but the power that this girl unleashed was much stronger than he had imagined. "You. How did you do it?" When the girl turned around, Yi Yu walked over with a surprised expression on his face. From the sword technique used by the young girl just now, there is clearly a special method. Saying you're stupid. You can't understand the essence of swordsmanship just by practicing it from books. The girl chuckled, revealing her teeth when she smiled. She quickly covered it with her small hand and then changed the topic, explaining, "Sword skills are just a routine. If you want to practice, just follow the original path. But if you want to make the power of sword skills even greater, I still advise you to first understand the mysteries of sword skills." The mystery of swordsmanship. Yi Yu was taken aback. He is not very intelligent or foolish. Otherwise, after 2 years in the reign of Emperor Qianming, he would not have fallen into the category of mediocrity. Author's side note. The new book is online, and we hope everyone can support us. Chapter 2. Brothers Flip Over. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What is the mystery of swordsmanship? Yi Yu murmured in contemplation. The girl's sword just now looked very similar to her own sword, but when the sword energy was released and the energy spread, the power was significantly different. Is this the mystery of the sword? Xiao Junior sister. Why did you come here? Yi Yu had just entered a moment of contemplation when a faint laughter interrupted him outside the courtyard. Along with the girl, she turned her head and ran over with a playful expression. "Senior brother Yan, you're here too. There's a fool here refining swords, it's so interesting." The young man who suddenly appeared was tall and majestic, with hair tied behind him, exuding an extraordinary aura. His long and handsome face was very murderous, but his triangular eyes gave off a gloomy hue. At this moment, when he appeared at the entrance of the courtyard, he also looked at Yi Yu with a surprised expression on his face. "Yi Yu." The young man was taken aback. There was a hint of complexity in his eyes, but it was replaced by a sense of disgust. Senior brother Yen, do you know him? The girl ran to the young man with sugarcane and said with a smile. Ha! I guess I know you. As you said, he's just a fool. The young man sneered, his eyes fixed on Yi Yu, revealing a murderous intent. Hee. He's not just a fool either. He's just a bit strange about sword refining. Alright, it's not fun here, I'll leave first. Since you know each other, you can talk. The girl made a funny face for the young man with a smile and ran cute towards the outside of the courtyard. The young man did not pursue, let her go. With a sweet smile on her face, she watched the girl leave. Yi Yu, how have you been practicing lately? The young man put his hands behind his back and restrained his smile. Becoming superior, he walked towards Yi Yu. Yi Yu's face turned red, and a hint of anger surged in his heart. This young man is none other than his close friend Yan Feng who grew up with him. It's not the same, just a fool, Yi Yu said with a hint of sarcasm. He is not as talented and powerful as Yan Feng, but he still has a strong sense of pride. Yi Yu finds it hard to accept that his good brother is now treating him with this attitude. Ha! Brother, don't say that. With your talent, you can reach the Ningyuan realm after 20.30 years of cultivation. Why should you be so disappointed? Otherwise, I'll teach you a few moves so that you can show off your power in the foreign sect. Yan Feng sneered coldly. In his opinion, he wouldn't bother to pay attention to Yi Yu, a brother with such low and mediocre strength. It's like smearing a stain on him. But today I saw my admired junior sister talking and laughing with Yi Yu, and teaching him how to practice swordsmanship. That intimate look. Yan Feng suddenly had a murderous heart towards Yi Yu. After all, when a woman you love is in close contact with another man, there is nothing that doesn't make you angry psychologically. Let's keep it for you to use. I can't climb high. Yi Yu packed his sword and turned around without any expression, walking towards the outside of the purple aster garden. Yi Yu was already extremely disappointed with Yan Feng. Yi Yu, please stop me. Yan Feng turned around with a pale face and shouted loudly behind Yi Yu. Usually, others flatter him, and there are words from senior brothers on both sides. But how could Yi Yu, this fool, ignore him? Do you really think you were his brother before and dare not teach him a lesson? Is there anything else? Yi Yu said lightly, taking a step back. Yan Feng gradually restrained his anger, took a deep breath, and said in a deep voice, don't entangle Xiao junior sister again in the future, otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless. Humph. Yi Yu snorted coldly and walked out of the purple aster garden. Now he understood why Yan Feng's big opinion towards him turned out to be for a woman. Ha! What a joke. It seems like I don't even know the name of that girl. It's just our first time meeting, and this is also called entanglement. And there are also 300 to 400 female disciples in the sect, right? So many women would argue with him for a woman on their own. Besides, Yi Yu doesn't have this interest right now. Seeing Yi Yu's cold and indifferent departure, Yan Feng narrowed his triangular eyes, his face turned pale, and a hint of ferocious murderous intent appeared in his eyes. Yi Yu, this is what you forced me to do. Don't blame me for Yan Feng's ruthlessness. The vitality of the whole body suddenly shook, and the surrounding weeds were instantly cut off and floated freely. Shortly after Yi Yu disappeared, 2 young people dressed in Qianming's sect clothes ran into the Purple Yuan courtyard. Among them, one was tall and the other was short, with a horse face, a long-drawn figure, carrying a big knife on his back, and the shorter was somewhat obese, like a winter melon, with a fine beard on his mouth. Senior brother Yan, what's causing you so much anger? The short man cautiously said that for the past 2 years, the 2 brothers have been following Yan Feng and have a good understanding of his temper. Now that Yan Feng is like this, something important must have angered him. Humph, isn't it that bastard Yi Yu? I've been secretly guarding him, but this guy doesn't know what to do and even snatches women from me. Alright, alright. Tang Guang, Li Shun. Find a chance to teach that kid a good lesson. Yan Feng felt a strong heart. Anger has already filled my mind. What about the brothers who grew up together? Anyone who disobeys oneself must be given a good color to see. Senior brother Yan, this. Tang Guang, the short man, changed his expression. Yan Feng had also told them about Yi Yu before, so he secretly helped Yi Yu many times. But why did you suddenly have such a strong killing intent on that kid? First warn him, if he doesn't listen. Humph. As long as he doesn't cause any harm, I'll take responsibility for the injuries and disabilities. Yan Feng chuckled gloomily, rolled up his robe, turned around, and walked towards the outside of the purple aster garden. Killing his fellow disciples was a heavy responsibility and he was executed, but a light responsibility drove him out of the school. Therefore, no matter how brave Yan Feng was, he dared not kill anyone. But he was about to enter the inner gate as a Ningyuan disciple, and injured and disabled an inconspicuous little outer gate disciple of Juyuan. He could still afford this disaster. Emperor Qianming was located in the eastern part of the Tianyuan continent, within the territory of the Ming Empire called the Lingyuan Mountains. If the power of Emperor Qianming were to be placed within the Ming Empire, it could not be considered the strongest force, nor could it be considered inferior. At most, it could only be considered a moderate sect. The sects are divided into inner sect and outer sect. There are two types of people in inner sect. One is those who have excellent innate talents and have been in the sect since childhood, while the other is those who have been promoted from outer sect. According to the rules of the sect, only disciples from the outer sect who have entered the Ningyuan realm and passed the inner sect assessment are eligible to enter the inner sect. But because the cultivation conditions of external disciples are not as good as those of internal disciples, and their martial arts and elemental skills are not as good as those of internal disciples, even those with good talents will find it difficult to enter the Ningyuan realm and enter the internal sect in a few years. So, while external disciples are striving to cultivate, they also need to work hard to complete tasks within the sect, because completing a task can earn them a certain amount of contribution points. Points can be exchanged for good things such as elemental skills, martial arts, and even some pills that assist people in cultivating. In order to promote the ambition of disciples from outside, Qianming's sect specially established a hall called the Sword Hall, which is dedicated to receiving tasks and even exchanging points for techniques, elemental skills, pills, and other things. The Lijian Hall is located in a concave area of Lingjiao Mountain in the eastern district of Emperor Qianming's reign. As it does not involve the sect gate and does not occupy any space, it is very convenient to set up the Lijian Hall here. At this moment, the vast mist was still floating, but the Sword Hall became lively. Those ambitious outer disciples and even inner disciples have all come to collect tasks. The tasks of the Sword Hall are difficult and easy, and there are tasks for external disciples as well as tasks for internal disciples. After leaving Ziwen Pavilion, Yi Yu came directly here. In the past 2 years, this is his first time coming to the Lijian Gu. Previously, due to his low strength and lack of confidence in his talents, he knew that coming to collect these tasks was like seeking death. But today, Yan Feng's insult made Yi Yu realize how important strength is to him. Those with strength can stand tall, while those without strength exist like ants. However, by taking on tasks, one can experience and earn points to exchange for higher skills and elemental skills, which is a method of improvement. It is the only way for Yi Yu to gain strength. The Sword Hall is divided into 4 counters, one for receiving and submitting tasks, and the other for exchanging elixirs, elemental skills, and martial arts. However, the bustling area is within the mission area. In the Sword Hall, both elemental skills and martial arts are extremely expensive, and the points obtained by completing a task are limited. And most of the things I usually exchange are pills. There is no way, in the eyes of external disciples, pills are the highest way to improve strength. Ling, I want to take on a few simple tasks that are 1 star long. Yi Yu arrived at an unmanned counter, behind which was an old man who appeared to be around 50 or 60 years old. This old man was always in the Li Jian Gu, so many people knew him. Although Yi Yu has not taken on the task, he has also come a few times before. Ling Lao, who was flipping through books, was disturbed by the sound. The vicissitudes of life glanced at Yi Yu for a moment. After only 4 layers of gathering, Yi Yu's eyes showed a silent expression and he threw a book away. He said lightly, "There are tasks on it. If you see any, just click on them. I'll help you register later." Yi Yu gave a bitter smile. Is this because of his low strength? Some people look down on themselves when taking on tasks with low strength. But Yi Yu knew he had to endure. I took the book and slowly flipped through it. Every page of the book was filled with tasks. Yi Yu looked over at 10 lines at a glance, all of which were various marks, not to mention the tasks that had been taken or even completed by people. There are really enough tasks, Yi Yu smiled bitterly, dividing the sect into 10 levels of tasks, from 1 star to 10 stars. One of the star missions only has 10 or even 20 points, and as for the journey, the higher the star's mission, the greater the points. It is said that only 10 10-star missions have appeared in the sect, and they were completed by several elders of the inner sect together back then. Ling Lao, just these 2. Yi Yu flipped through it for a while and finally picked up a pen to mark it. After finishing, I handed the book to Ling Lao. Ling Lao withdrew his gaze, took the book lightly with his hand, and glanced lightly at it. His cloudy pupils trembled and he looked at Yi Yu in surprise. "Kid, do you really want to take these 2 tasks?" Chapter 3. Fighting in the Mountains. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What's going on? Ling Lao. Yi Yu was a bit puzzled. These 2 tasks are respectively to search for purple Qionghua and obtain the trace of a martial artist named Kuang Lion in the martial arts world. And both of these tasks have 20 points, which is a considerable wealth for Yi Yu. You should know that a low-level human-level martial arts and elemental skills only require 100 points, and a mid-level Qingyuan sword only requires 200 points. These 2 tasks are almost equivalent to half a low-level human-level martial arts or half a elemental skill. Kid, you're only on the 4th level of gathering yuan. I suggest you take on other tasks, as these 2 tasks are not suitable for you at all. Ling Lao sneered, I don't know how many people used to take on these 2 tasks, but I don't know how many died on these 2 tasks. Searching for the purple Qionghua, which is itself a spiritual herb. In various parts of the forest, spirit grass is generally very rare, and even if there is, most of it is occupied by demon beasts. In search of spiritual grass in the mountains and forests, it is often necessary to defeat the demon beasts guarding the spiritual grass. So, tasks like this are usually taken on by very few people. After pondering for a while, Yi Yu pursed his lips and said, I'll take these 2. Yi Yu pondered, very determined. Okay. Since you want to die, I'm too lazy to stop you. In Ling Lao's opinion, Yi Yu was clearly looking for death. Whether it's the purple Qionghua or the spirit flower, there is a high possibility that there are demon beasts guarding around it. As for the expert of the wild lion, he is a martial artist at the peak of Juyuan. If this Juyuan 4th level kid were to disturb him, that's like going to die. Yi Yu smiled faintly and ignored Ling Lao, after Ling Lao had registered. Yi Yucai turned around and left. Oh. Is junior brother Yi also taking on the task? Yi Yu had just turned around when a mocking voice rang from behind. I saw 2 disciples of the outer sect walking over, one tall and one short. They were Tang Guang and Li Shan, both with provocative eyes on their faces. Yi Yu frowned. Although these 2 had helped him before, Yi Yu knew they were Yan Feng's people. And just now, the other party clearly spoke with a hostile tone. Tang senior brother, Li senior brother. Yi Yugong punched respectfully and said. With his current strength, he has no right to confront them. Tang Guang and Li Shunk are both experts in the 6th level of Juyuan realm, and one punch is enough to deal with him. He. Tang Guang gave a cold smile and walked slowly towards Yi Yu, saying with a smile, "Junior brother Yi, what task have you taken on? Do you want senior brother's help?" Tang Guang's eyes were full of murderous intent, and Yan Feng's instructions were not to be violated by them. Isn't it just their intention for Yi Yu to take on the task? Yi Yu smiled faintly, clearly indicating that these two people were insincere. Shaking his head, he refused and said, "No need, thank you very much for your kindness, senior brothers. If there's nothing else, junior brothers will say goodbye." Yi Yu punched and turned around, walking towards the outside of the sword hall. But as Yi Yu walked together, Li Shun quickly dodged and stopped him, sneering coldly, "Junior brother Yi, why are you in such a hurry to leave? Let's stay and have a good chat. How about that?" Yi Yu's eyebrows sank, and it was clear that these two people had come to make things difficult for him. "Please forgive my disrespect, junior brother. Junior brother has something important to attend to, so please make concessions, both senior brothers." Tang Guang's gaze became cold, and his originally playful gaze instantly became cold. I walked up to Yi Yu indifferently and warned in a cold voice, "Kid, you can let go. But we both need to remind you that Xiao Junior sister is not something you can provoke. Be sensible and don't entangle her, otherwise." He. No wonder our brothers are ruthless. Tang Guang sneered at Yi Yu and patted her face a few times. Just then, Li Shun laughed heartily and turned around to leave. Under this humiliation, Yi Yu's face turned extremely ugly, his body frozen in place without moving, but he knew he could only endure it. The arrival of these two guys was clearly sent by Yan Feng to warn him. He is very clear about this. There are quite a few disciples in the sword hall, and many of them noticed this scene just now. Many of them laughed and looked at Yi Yu's disheveled appearance, which is the case in the Qianming sect. Strength is the top priority, and the strong bully the weak, which is very normal. Yi Yu ignored the gazes around him, clenched his fists, endured his anger, and turned around to leave. I rested all night and the next morning. After calming down his mentality, Yi Yu carried his Qingyuan sword, changed into a simple outfit, and left the sect, walking towards the mountain gate. The Qianming sect is a sect hidden in the mountains, so it is now a vast expanse of mountains with the existence of forests, which happens to provide the best training ground for the disciples of the Qianming sect. Of course, in this Lingyuan mountain range, the terrain is extremely extensive, and there is also a lack of scattered cultivators in the martial arts world, as well as children from some families or other sects, to come and experience. So occasionally, there is also a shortage of disciples from various sects who engage in violence and murder due to language differences. In the vast Lingyuan mountain, there are endless trees and hills. Crisis is hidden everywhere inside. Due to the high terrain, there is a strong fog gathering here all year round. Walking in the woods can lead to getting lost at any time. On a desolate clearing in the Lingyuan mountains, a total of more than 10 large trees were cut off, and grass was crushed everywhere. And Yi Yu was holding the Qingyuan sword in his hand, looking cautiously in front of him. Not far from him was a big brown wolf, which was about 1 meter tall and 2 meters long. It had a single horn on its forehead and sharp teeth like steel knives in its mouth. There were still faint bloodstains in his mouth. This type of wolf is a common monster in the jungle, the first-level monster Silver Moon Wolf. This kind of monster usually lives in groups, but for some unknown reason, it unexpectedly encountered Yi Yu alone in the forest. That's why we launched an attack on this weak human. It has to be said that facing this level 1 monster, Yi Yu still has a hint of fear in his heart. After all, he has not killed any monster yet, so facing it head-on now naturally brings some nervousness. If I can't even kill a Silver Moon Wolf, what qualifications do I have to cultivate? Yi Yu worked hard to calm down the fluctuations in his heart. Along the way of cultivation, there were ups and downs and forgiveness. It was because he had too little experience that he still had no knowledge of the martial arts world like Xiaobai. Roar. In a wave of disappointment, the agile and broad body of the silver moon wolf lightly leaped up, and then its claws swept down and landed directly on Yi Yu's head. Based on its years of experience, it can see that this human is very afraid. So, in order to kill him as soon as possible, we had to take action while he was afraid. Pushi. Yi Yu's face turned red, and his fearful body flashed slightly. The wolf's paw grabbed onto the shoulder, and in an instant, the clothes on the shoulder were torn apart, with blood slowly flowing down the shoulder. Feeling pain in his shoulder, Yi Yu gritted his teeth and knelt down on one knee, staring fiercely at the silver moon wolf. He knew he had to overcome this fear, and instead of moving the Qingmu sword in his hand, he swung a punch under the influence of Yuanli, smashed it towards the forehead of the silver moon wolf. Like the silver moon wolf, it falls towards the opponent's hit point. But when this fist fell, the silver moon wolf had a mocking tone. As the saying goes, the characteristic of a wolf is its copper head, iron bones, and tofu waist. This human is so foolish as to hit its head. But just as Yi Yu's punch was about to fall, Silver Moon Wolf suddenly felt a crisis approaching, and this punch hit like a mountain. Pushi. The moment Yi Yu's fist landed on the head of the Silver Moon Wolf, his hand shook against the wolf's head and his wrist became numb. However, Yi Yu did not stop any opportunity. At this moment, the Qingmu sword in his other hand, lying horizontally on his arm, cut along the neck of the Silver Moon Wolf. The Silver Moon Wolf has no rebound force and its throat has been cut. Blood sprayed everywhere. The Silver Moon Wolf only truly understands at this moment that it has been deceived. As soon as the Silver Moon Wolf landed, Yi Yu also panted and landed. My eyes were stunned as I looked at the wolf corpse. The biggest difference between humans and monsters is that humans are very intelligent. Just now, Yi Yu was using his voice to deceive the Silver Moon Wolf with his fist, while the Qingmu sword was hidden in his hand. It's ready to explode at any moment. Is this the taste of killing? Is it really satisfying? For those who kill monsters for the first time, fear and apprehension are inevitable in their hearts. But Yi Yu succeeded. After a good rest for a while, Yi Yu did not stop, slowly thinning the fur and bones of the Silver Moon Wolf. The fur and bones of monster beasts are very valuable. Although they are only level 1 monster beasts, their fur can at least be exchanged for a few taels of silver flowers. Just finished dealing with the Silver Moon Wolf, the bones and fur were wrapped in a cloth bag and placed on the back. At this moment, there were several crisp footsteps in the forest. At the same time, a wind appeared. Who? Yi Yu was startled and his facial features lifted. Immediately became alert. His gaze flashed towards the source of the sound. Roar. Then a gloomy voice came out of the woods. Upon hearing the sound, Yi Yu was stunned and stepped back, his face pale. The sound just now carried a strong force that made him step back a few steps away. Among monster beasts, only third-level monster beasts can unleash their demonic energy and launch attacks on space. The strength just now is clearly a substantial type of attack from monster power. What? This is. As soon as the roar fell, the trees on both sides opened up, and the big trees on both sides collapsed with a loud roar. A giant bull, emitting purple flames all over its body, jumped out. This giant cow is covered in purple flames all over its body, with a pair of twisted and ferocious horns on its head. It is a full 5 or 6 meters long, reaching a height of 2 meters. There is no hair on its body, but it is covered in a black armor that is shiny and shiny. Moreover, its tail is a whip-like hook that is over 3 meters long. Jumping out, like a giant mountain entering Yi Yu's eyes. Sweep the entire tail horizontally, and cut off the large trees on both sides directly under the hook. Flames were burning everywhere. Third-level demon beast, purple scorpion demon ox. Not good. Without delay, after seeing this guy clearly, Yi Yu took a steady step with the support of Yuanli. The body leaped forward like a big bird and fell more than 10 meters away. Subsequently, a sharp whip, as sharp as a hook, was pulled down from the place where I had originally stood behind, and a black ditch of over 3 meters appeared on the ground. Chapter 4. Purple Scorpion Magic Bull. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The Purple Scorpion Magic Bull is a descendant of the second-level monster Purple Scorpion and Magic Wind Bull, and it has the advantages of both types of monsters: the poison of the Purple Scorpion, the strength of the Magic Wind Ox, and the demonic fire. After undergoing different bloodline mutations, the Purple Scorpion Demon Bull has a predecessor resembling a cow and a predecessor resembling a scorpion. At the same time, the evolution of bloodline has further created a super powerful third-level demon beast, the Purple Scorpion Demon Bull. Yi Yu turned around and immediately activated his elemental power, frantically fleeing towards the other side, even throwing the wrapped Silver Moon Wolf bundle on the ground and ignoring it. Compared to human experts, level 1 to level 2 monster beasts are equivalent to humans in the Juyuan realm, while level 3 and 4 monster beasts are equivalent to the Juyuan realm experts. Yi Yu, a newcomer on the 4th level of Juyuan, given 10 more courage, is not qualified to fight against a level 3 monster comparable to the Ningyuan realm. Moreover, the Purple Scorpion Demon Bull, whether it is brute force, demonic fire, or even toxins, cannot be underestimated even by level 4 demon beasts or even experts at the peak of the condensing element. Roar! Yi Yu dodged and the Purple Scorpion Demon Bull roared in its mouth. The rolling demon power surged out of his mouth and chased after Yi Yu. Pap! Pap! Demon power attacks and condenses into essence. The large trees on both sides broke apart under the attack of demonic power. At the same time, a huge impact force followed closely behind Yi Yu. With the impact of the demonic force, Yi Yu did not resist and rolled out towards the front. Yi Yu didn't have time to feel the pain on his body, so he supported the ground with one hand and quickly ran forward together. Now, Yi Yu's only thought is to run. This third-level monster, let alone itself, what if Yen Feng comes? With strict measures, there is only one dead end at this moment. After all, the biggest advantage of monsters over humans is their strong bodies and innate special skills. This Purple Scorpion Demon Bull has mutated from itself and is several times more powerful than an ordinary third-level monster. Having activated the power of the Yuan, Yi Yu held on to the Qingyuan sword in one hand and shuttled through the forest, his sword moving forward like a gear. Move forward like a sword. Roar! The air behind me suddenly shook, and the leaves were trembling. Immediately, the earth trembled, and a huge black figure fell down. Yi Yu, who was running on the ground, was subjected to intense vibrations, causing his body to boil and his legs to tingle. Without giving Yi Yu a chance to hesitate, a powerful demonic light came from behind like a sword shadow. This demonic power is the toxic demonic light emitted by the scorpion tail of the Purple Scorpion Demon Bull, which carries extremely strong corrosive ability and can quickly penetrate a person's body under rapid impact. The demonic light rushed forward and almost rubbed against Yi Yu's clothes, then landed on a large stone in front of Yi Yu. The stone did not explode, but after the demonic light shot in, it slowly melted like sulfuric acid. What a strong toxin, fortunately it didn't hit me. Yi Yu glanced at the stone and secretly took a chance. But as soon as my heart let go, behind me, there were several sounds of breaking through the air. Shoo! Not good. There are 3 demon lights shining directly from here. One of them rubbed against Yi Yu's head, causing his hair to melt slightly. At the same time, under the other 2 impacts, his clothes directly corroded into a huge hole, like a little beggar. Upon seeing this, Yi Yu's scalp couldn't help but tingle and his face turned red with fear. Originally, the strength was not very high, only gathering 4 levels of elemental realm. Now, while running, the consumption of elemental strength is also very high. Now with the running back and forth, the elemental strength in Yi Yu's dantian is becoming increasingly weak. One person, one beast, one pursuit, one escape. Unconsciously, I ran for more than 10 miles, flipped through a tall mountain area, and fell straight into another forest. Both of us are very weak. Along the way, Yi Yu always had some confusion. Who did you offend yourself? Did you run so far? This purple scorpion demon cow, surprisingly, still hasn't let itself go. Is it possible that one's character is not good? Is this purple scorpion demon cow interested in itself? Yi Yu felt a bit frustrated. If it weren't for the many trees along the way that stopped the purple scorpion demon bull from moving forward, I might have been caught up by it long ago. Quickly, he crawled into the forest at the foot of the mountain like a ghost, and his body quickly escaped into the forest. The forest in front of me is very vast and endless, and as I run deeper, it becomes darker and darker inside. The trees are even denser and taller, and the outside is only a mountainous area with stones everywhere. However, upon entering this mountain and entering the forest, it becomes gloomy and dark, with black mist everywhere. And what surprised Yi Yu was that when he entered this forest, there was no sound at all, not even the chirping of birds or insects. It feels like coming into a vacuum zone. What a strange aura. What exactly is this place? Yi Yu looked around, and the big trees, which were as dark as stones, seemed to have vitality. It was like a gateway to hell. On the Tianyuan continent, there are countless forests. Even within the Lingyuan mountains, there are various incredible secret places. After all, the mountains are vast and continuous, and no one can be certain that they fully understand this mountain range. Roar! As Yi Yu's steps fell, the purple scorpion demon bull from the void had already fallen into the forest and was quickly sweeping towards Yi Yu. However, when Yi Yu looked back, he saw the purple scorpion demon bull let out a painful scream. Immediately after, Yi Yu felt the air in front of him tighten and a black shadow hit him. Yi Yu quickly dodged away, and the shadow was stunned to be a huge cow body. No, it should be said to be half, because his lower body seems to have been cut off by something. When it was thrown out, intestines and blood were scattered everywhere, and there was no sign of anger left. Purple Scorpion Magic Bull. What is the first half of the body of the purple scorpion demon bull in front of me? But how could it die? And died so strangely. At this moment, Yi Yu was completely stunned. You should know that the purple scorpion magic bull is a 3rd level peak demon beast, and even a 4th level demon beast dare not provoke it. But just now, it was almost instantly killed by something, leaving it with no resistance at all. After all, when he jumped into this forest, the purple scorpion magic bull almost jumped down at the same time. Roar! Yi Yu felt the air tremble, and at this roar, a huge gust of wind swept through the forest, with the leaves rolling and floating one by one. Not good. Yi Yu's face changed greatly, and he knew that he had encountered a big monster here. From that aura alone, it is definitely many times more powerful than the purple scorpion magic bull. No wonder there are no birds or beasts chirping here. In a powerful monster territory, no other similar creatures are allowed to exist. Before finishing his words, a big tree with 3 or 4 people suddenly collapsed behind him, facing Yi Yu head-on. Yi Yu didn't think much and rushed straight ahead. But then, a black shadow followed closely behind, with its shiny body and transparent skin resembling 60 sticks of flesh. More importantly, its head to tail were the same size, with saliva remaining in all its luster. Its mouth was open, and a neat circle of teeth continued along the inside, like the gears of a meat grinder, with some fragments of corpses faintly remaining. What? This is... Yi Yu rolled over from the ground and only glanced behind him, his face pale with fear. No matter how calm he is, he must not be afraid at this moment. From the huge monster's body shape, it is obvious that it is a large earthworm. But would that small earthworm mutate into this shape? Roar. The huge earthworm roared incessantly in its mouth, and 2 or 3 people couldn't hold it together. It was at least 10 meters long, and as it passed, trees, stones, and soil were corroded away, leaving large pits on the ground. And even Yi Yu, who was running ahead, felt a disgusting smell of earthy smell coming towards him. Puff. The big earthworm was chasing after it, spraying disgusting saliva from its mouth. As soon as those saliva touched the big tree, it was immediately corroded clean. Fortunately, Yi Yu rolled a few meters on the ground, and the remaining saliva did not harm him. However, even so, the soil was bombed open, and Yi Yu's body quickly rolled forward. As he tumbled, Yi Yu was surprised to find that there was a slope in front of him, with a very large curvature. After rolling, the speed becomes faster and faster. The hand tried to hold onto the tree and stabilize his body, but under the huge recoil, he couldn't help it. Ah! Yi Yu's body was rolling faster and faster, but suddenly he was empty and fell towards the cliff below the slope. Under the cliff, there was a vast expanse of white mist everywhere, and the sound of water falling slowly entered my ears. Yi Yu fell down like a stone. Roar. Seeing this human fall into the cliff, the big earthworm swirled its body and roared loudly on the hillside, angrily spraying out streams of yellowish saliva and black breath. The soil and even trees around it disappeared like weathering, leaving a mess all around, without a complete land. Chapter 5. Breaking the Sky and 9 Changes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I don't know if he felt it, but Yi Yu woke up from his coma. He opened his eyes and his first consciousness was pain, an indescribable pain all over his body. His second consciousness was that it was very dark here, and everywhere was hazy. His last bit of consciousness was that he seemed to have fallen into the water, but now when I wake up, it's pitch black in front of me, and I can't even tell it's in the water. Is this hell? Yi Yu has a terrible idea. But soon he refuted this idea for a simple reason. He also knew about pain. Legend has it that hell is dark everywhere, and ghosts survive, which are ethereal things. Yi Yu struggled to slowly get up from the ground, his hands propped up on the icy cold ground, and he could faintly hear the ticking sound everywhere. Being able to feel all of this made Yi Yu believe that he was definitely not in a spiritual state. He breathed a sigh of relief, at least he wasn't dead. Dida. Dida. A few dripping sounds pulled Yi Yu back from his thoughts, his gaze retracted, and he slowly turned around to adapt to the dark light. This completely immerses the surrounding environment into the eyes. In front of me is a huge mountain cave, which is about 7 or 8 meters high. The cave is filled with meteorite rocks on both sides, sometimes convex and sometimes concave. Between the adjacent rocks, there is also some vegetation living in the dark, and even some small insects and snakes are crawling in it. Yi Yu calmed down and turned his head slightly to look over. There was a hidden river beach where he had been lying before. For some reason, he was hit by the water and eventually washed into this hidden river beach, even entering this mysterious cave. So half of it is water flowing behind, while the other side is a rock cave. How strange is this place? It's hidden under a hidden river, not visible to the sky, yet there's still air flowing, and even there's vegetation still alive. Yi Yu sighed inwardly. On that day, his experience was really unimaginable. First, I encountered the Silver Moon Wolf, a first-level monster, and then I was chased by the third-level monster, the Purple Scorpion Demon Wolf. Now, I am forced to fall under the cliff and enter this mysterious cave. Following the dark cave, Yi Yu walked for about 30 meters. He followed the cave all the way, and when he turned a corner, a light wind immediately blew in front of him. Yi Yumarin's eyes suddenly brightened up, with a faint green light shining in. Although not very big, under the green light, it added some vitality to this dark cave. Upon entering the eye, there is a stone chamber in front of us. Inside the chamber, there are stone tables, chairs, beds, and more, as well as some simple household utensils and even some vegetation nearby. The green light was emanating from a lamp stand in the stone chamber. It's just that it's not a light, it's a stunning green night pearl. Have people ever lived here before? Yi Yu's face darkened and he felt a little nervous in his heart. There is dust everywhere here, spider webs, and even a few small snakes crawling on the walls, indicating that no one has lived there for a long time. Taking a deep breath, my gaze followed the slow green light and my eyes rolled around. The stone chamber is not very large, about 1 zhang wide and 4 or 5 meters high. The surrounding rocks have been carved and refined, which is why the style similar to a room appears. Oh. This is. Yi Yu's gaze fixed on the bed in the stone room, which was covered with a mosquito net. However, with the help of the green light, it was faintly visible that a person was sitting cross-legged inside. Take a closer look, there is a stunned person there. Is it possible that people have been living here all along? Senior. Senior. Yi Yu called out cautiously twice, with a cold sweat streaming down his forehead. After seeing that there was no response, with a hint of courage, he gently lifted the mosquito net with his hand. The mosquito net was lifted and placed inside. A man wearing a black robe, sitting motionless with his eyes closed, cross-legged on the bed, sat there. This man seems to have not moved for many years. His head and body are covered in spider silk, but his face still has some traces of blood. Ah! Upon seeing it, Yi Yu was indeed a person. My heart was once again startled, once again startled. With a congested face and an effort to calm the fluctuations in his heart, he boldly shouted, "Senior." No matter how Yi Yu shouted, there was no change or response in the middle-aged man's breath. Yi Yu finally had the courage to pull up the mosquito net again and gently pushed his hand towards the middle-aged man's shoulder. But, in that moment, a miraculous scene appeared. Yi Yu pushed his hand over, as if it had hit a pair of dust. As soon as his hand touched, the middle-aged man started with his shoulder and collapsed like sand, then the rolling dust scattered around. Ah! Upon seeing it, Yi Yu's face turned red. Quickly withdrew his hand. Is it possible that this person is an expert who has gone astray after practicing martial arts and has become possessed by demons? As soon as Yi Yu turned around, he immediately had this idea. On the Tianyuan continent, many experts encountered barriers while charging through the levels and unintentionally became demonic, causing their entire body to break and even turning their bones and flesh into powder. The person in front of me clearly resembles a master who has gone crazy. After all, humans have flesh and blood, and once they die, they will decay. But when the body turns into ashes, it's completely different. Senior, please forgive me for offending you so much just now. Yi Yu bent his body and punched inside the mosquito net. I feel a little guilty in my heart, as the person has already died, leaving behind this complete body. Just now, under my own offense, I was damaged. Just as Yi Yu bent his head and was about to lift it up, a golden light entered his eyes inside the mosquito net. The golden light seeped out from the pile of dust transformed from a middle-aged man. This is. Yi Yu's eyes lit up and he lifted the mosquito net with his hand. Slowly remove those dust. A golden book with golden edges entered the eye. The book was not thick, about 3 fingers wide and thick, but it looked very eye-catching due to the gold edge inlay. Breaking the heavens and changing 9 times. The 4 big characters entered his eyes, but his eyes trembled as he stared at them. In an instant, a golden light shot out from the 4 characters and directly inserted into Yi Yu's head. Yi Yu seemed to feel a huge fist hitting his head, his mind numb, and blood spurted out of his mouth. What kind of thing is this, such a powerful power? How could a book generate such a powerful spiritual power like a living creature? Yi Yu sat on the ground in shock, with blood on his mouth and a hint of surprise in his eyes. Just 4 words at first glance, under the powerful suppression of the 4 words, I was forced to spit blood from my mouth. It's not easy to generate power out of thin air in this book. Yi Yu looked over again. Although the radiance of the few words on the book was very powerful, Yi Yu's mind was compressed and did not spread out. Looking at it with the usual gaze, it was indeed that Yi Yu's mind relaxed a lot. No matter how strong the golden light of the handwriting was, it did not harm Yi Yu's mind at this moment. The book has not yet been opened. It is possible to unleash such a strong attack on the human mind. If it weren't for my quick reaction, I would probably have died under this powerful attack. Yi Yu secretly took a chance and picked up the gold-edged book with his hand, slowly pushing the dust away from it. To break through the heavens, one must go through 9 transformations. On the cover, Yi Yu casually took a row of characters and flipped through the first page. To cultivate and break through the 9 transformations of heaven and earth, one must endure the hardships of life. The words on the second page immediately made Yi Yu understand a little. This is a cultivation technique. Martial arts. It's actually martial arts. Yi Yu was overjoyed. What is he lacking the most now? Yes, it's the cultivation method. He himself is not very talented, and he is also practicing low-level human-level techniques. His cultivation speed is like a turtle walking. So, he had to leave the sect and go out to experience and earn points in exchange for martial arts. Only in this way can one's own strength improve. However, there is actually a ready-made martial arts book here, even belonging to a master. Yi Yu felt delighted and flipped through it again. After the first transformation, the body generates tremendous power and possesses infinite power. After the divine power transformation reaches great fullness, it enters the second transformation. Yi Yu looked at the handwriting on the next page in shock, each of which emitted a powerful power and shimmered golden. After reading the introduction on this page, Yi Yu's mind became dizzy and he fell asleep. What a powerful power! Every word carries a power that threatens the mind. Yi Yu shook his head a few times and immediately sat cross-legged, then closed his eyes. Yuan Li slowly rotated within the dantian tendons, trying to suppress his mind as much as possible. To prevent oneself from becoming possessed by the devil. After waiting for a while, Yi Yu gradually recovered. My gaze was once again clear as I looked at the book. After this repair, my gaze became noticeably clearer, without the weakness and discomfort of seeing those 4 big characters for the first time. I have become quite rebellious. After the introduction of the divine power transformation, the following are all about the cultivation of the 9 transformations that break through the heavens. Reverse. After reading the cultivation narrative of the 9 transformations in the sky, 2 words immediately popped out of Yi Yu's mouth. Whether it is a human level, earth level, or even heavenly level cultivation method, the cultivation method is based on the same principle. According to the method of the cultivation, it operates in the tendons and meridians, allowing more elemental strength to be stored in the dantian. But this is a reversal of elemental power, despite the 9 changes that break through the heavens. The original clockwise elemental power was used to enhance the elemental power, but the cultivation of breaking through the 9 transformations of heaven and earth relied on the dantian elemental power, reversing the tendons and meridians. You should know that reversing elemental power is a sign of going crazy. Many experts, when practicing, fail to grasp their elemental power, resulting in a reversal of elemental power and chaos in dantian's elemental power. In the end, the elemental force reversed and the body exploded and died. After all, no matter who cultivates various martial arts, they are centered around the dantian, and the elemental power in the body circulates to the meridians and then within them. Expand the tendons and meridians, spreading the dantian yuan power to various parts of the body's tendons and meridians. But this breakthrough in the 9 transformations of heaven began with the small branches of the tendons and meridians, condensing a little elemental strength, and then slowly entering the elixir field. Completely in the opposite direction. Moreover, everywhere in the tendons and meridians, there is already no elemental strength. It is so difficult and painful to gather some elemental strength from the scattered tendons and then reverse it towards the dantian. To break through the 9 transformations of heaven, one must go through the 9 transformations. To cultivate the 9 transformations of heaven, one must endure the hardships of life. Yi Yu murmured and moved these words in his mouth, and now he finally understood the meaning of the line, breaking the sky 9 transforms up. The reversal of elemental strength requires a great deal of perseverance to bear the pain and a great deal of courage to cultivate. After all, a slight lack of attention can lead to the death of cultivators. The middle-aged man died by sitting in a sitting position, and at this moment Yi Yu no longer doubted how he died. Remember, only after achieving great perfection in the first transformation can you turn to the next page. Cultivate the second transformation, otherwise lightly blame and lose all cultivation, or even become demonic and die. Under all the cultivation methods, a row of characters gave Yi Yu some expectations. Could it be that middle-aged man died of being possessed by the devil because he did not reach the level of great fullness? Chapter 6. Understanding Sword Chi. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. A rich white mist floats covering half of the valley. From the left, a narrow waterfall flows down, and the faint water vapor disperses the entire valley. In a shady corner of the valley, there is a small mound of graves piled up with a stone. In front of the mound stands a wooden plaque with clear handwriting. The tomb of an unknown teacher. Not far from the grave stood a young man in plain brown attire, holding a sword in his hand, with his eyes closed and motionless. Despite the wind and grass stirring, the boy seemed to have forbidden it. Puff. Suddenly, the young man swung out a sword in his hand. The sword was easy to strike, with only a slight air breaking through the air, without any elemental power, let alone the power within the sword. There was no sign of any power at all, as if a child's ordinary knife had been chopped out. But the young man withdrew his hand and struck again with a sword. Upon closer inspection, a faint airflow appeared on the young man's body, flowing against the sword instead of turning from the dantian to his entire body. Instead, he turned his whole body to the dantian and then passed through the sword. If you were a warrior, you would be surprised. Usually, dantian's elemental power turns to his whole body, while he does the opposite, reversing it. You should know that this is a sign of going crazy. With one sword in a row, the elemental strength kept reversing, and after entering the elixir field, it condensed and reversed again. The young man seemed to have no idea how tired he was. From morning until night, when dawn broke, he continued to maintain this movement, and with a single sword, he chopped it off quickly. 3 days have passed. The boy still stood there. His hair had already been stained with some grass, and his face was blown black by the wind, while he still maintained his sword and cut it down. Unlike 3 days ago, when the young man's sword fell, it appeared to have no force, but there was still a shadow left. It was clearly very slow, but there was still a shadow flashing through the sword body. Moreover, the reversed elemental strength has become much stronger than before. If the young man's reversed elemental strength was only a small ditch in the past 3 days, then now it is just a small stream. Gradually, there was a hint of rhythm, more gentle than before. No, it's still not right. Breaking through the 9 transformations of the heavenly sky and reversing with the tendons and meridians, the storage of elemental energy starts from branching the tendons and marches towards the dantian. Now what I want to do is to refine the elemental energy of the tendons and meridians. So, with the help of external forces, the scattered elemental energy in my hands will converge into the tendons and meridians, reversing towards the dantian. The young man kept his eyes closed and murmured in his mouth. The condensation of elemental force starts from the tendons and meridians, which is a very simple process. In this process, a trace of elemental force is condensed. It will be difficult to reverse and enter dantian. Even if it coagulates and reverses once, it's just a little bit. To continue, the only way is to constantly condense and reverse. Yi Yu himself is not a master, it is so difficult to condense elemental strength in his tendons and veins, so he had to condense by external force, following the most common and ancient methods of the past. But these have nothing else, the only thing I cultivate is a Qingmu sword. Reverse the elemental power, every point must not go wrong, otherwise the muscles and veins will break, and people will become demonic. Yi Yu pondered and repeatedly swung the sword. With the swing of the sword, the elemental forces in various parts of the body are controlled, so as not to make mistakes during the reversal. After all, breaking the heavens and undergoing 9 transformations is not like ordinary martial arts. Starting from the elixir field, one only needs to guard the elixir field with their heart and mind. But starting from all over the body. So, to control the elemental force from being disturbed, the only way is to disperse the mind and guard the elemental force. Among them, wielding the sword not only honed the elemental strength, but also achieved excellent control over the external diffusion of the mind. After all, human potential comes from various parts of the body. Practitioners not only need to use meditation techniques to increase their elemental strength, but also need to stimulate their potential. After unleashing their potential, they need to slowly refine these potentials. No, it's still not right. The elemental force is under control, but after the sword is cut down, many muscles and meridians elemental force turns in the opposite direction. Well, this sword has become much more powerful, and there were no mistakes in this reversal. Only by maintaining it at all times, can the mind and spirit reach their own will, and if they can freely retract and release, it is not a problem to cultivate until their divine power changes. Soon, it was like this, a week passed. Since burying the nameless sitting master, Yi Yu has been following folk customs to observe filial piety for the nameless master for 3 days. However, during this period of filial piety, when Yi Yu was bored, he directly took out the Qingmu sword and began practicing according to the cultivation method of the first transformation of divine power in the 9 transformations of breaking heaven. Soon, Yi Yu entered this strange state of cultivation, and has only woken up 3 times in a week, while spending the rest of his time in that strange state of cultivation. What puzzled him was, under this unconscious cultivation, one may even be unaware of exhaustion and hunger. The whole person's mind has completely invaded the cultivation of the reversal of elemental power. When Yi Yu woke up on the 7th day of cultivation, he found that he had unknowingly grown a beard, and his eyes were red, leaving him feeling indescribably tired. However, Yi Yu was very happy because in the past few days of cultivation, it was obvious that he had made great progress. He had already moved from the previous 4 levels of the Gathering Yuan realm to the 5th level. Moreover, after the repeated drop of the sword, its power increased significantly compared to before, and its control over the mind and spirit almost reached a state of ease. As long as he practiced, Yi Yu could gather elemental strength at any time and then reverse it. On this day, the sun is very strong. Yi Yu is still practicing here day and night, just like before. The spiritual energy in this valley is very strong, and practicing in this place is very helpful for Yi Yu. So he wasn't in a hurry to leave either. Yi Yu continued to cut with one sword after another, without feeling tired at all. Sword exercises the mind and spirit, in order to gather energy and reverse. Although Yi Yu can put down his sword and sit cross-legged to reverse his elemental strength. But Yi Yu still used the sword to distract his mind, in order to master and control it. But at this moment, as the sword was chopped down, it made a faint contact with the air, leaving a trace of accumulation in the air. Although Yi Yu closed his eyes, he could feel the difference in this feeling, so he continued to chop with one sword, which was faster than the other. Yes, that's the feeling, that's right. That's it. The reversal of elemental power, turning towards the weapon, it's so powerful. It covers the reversed elemental power inside the body onto the sword, which is several times stronger than the clockwise elemental power. In vain, Yi Yu's eyebrows trembled suddenly, and a flash of light came from his eyes, while a sword fell from his hand. Shwa! In an instant, using the sword as a pretext, a sword shadow fell from the sky and plunged straight down. Boom! After a loud bang, the sword shadow fell onto a large stone ahead, which was directly cut into pieces and scattered in all directions. So strong! This is the legendary sword energy, without using any elemental power. The sword energy emitted by the sword itself. Yi Yu felt a surge of ecstasy in his heart, unable to laugh or cry. He practiced breaking through the 9 transformations of heaven and earth, only using the sword to reverse and exercise his mind. Just now, when the elemental power was reversed onto the weapon and a special state was created, did you actually comprehend the sword energy that swordsmen dream of? You know, a swordsman. Only those who possess sword energy can be considered true swordsmen. And swordsmen who understand sword energy can use their sword body to attack enemies without using any elemental power in swordsmanship, causing extremely great damage. Last year in the sect, a senior brother from the inner sect comprehended the sword energy. In the end, the sect leader held a grand banquet and kept saying, "This son has an infinite future." I don't know if they know that I, a newcomer from the Juyuan realm, have comprehended the sword energy. What would they think? Yi Yu really wanted to laugh, but he laughed bitterly. However, he also understood that even though he had comprehended the sword energy, it was no weaker than the elemental skills exhibited by the experts in the Ningyuan realm. Even Yan Feng has the power to fight. Oh. Forget it, I've been practicing for 7 whole days. It's time to take a good rest. Anyway, in these 7 days, I've made great progress in my cultivation and even comprehended the legendary sword energy. Taking back the Qingyuan sword, Yi Yu smiled and couldn't help but sigh as he glanced at the nearby tomb. If it weren't for accidentally breaking into the cave under that waterfall, I wouldn't have had what I am today. For the gratitude of the unknown expert, Yi Yu comes from the bottom of his heart. After tidying up his mood, Yi Yu stepped forward and walked towards the cave directly in front of the valley. This cave was accidentally discovered by Yi Yu after he came out of the secret chamber under the waterfall. These days, Yi Yu has also been resting inside. The cave covers an area of about 30 square meters and is 4 to 5 meters high. It is entirely composed of rocks and is very simple. However, Yi Yu doesn't care so much, as long as he can rest. After all, this cave is much better than the dark cave below the waterfall. It was precisely because the cave was too dark and uncomfortable that Yi Yu had to leave and walk outside. Just as he entered the cave, Yi Yu was startled. Gigi, a crisp sound of a small animal echoed in one's ear. Following the sound, one by one, small things gently rose up in the flower bushes on the left side of the cave entrance. Then half of the body was exposed. Yi Yu was very curious and slowly walked over. Then stretch out your hand to open the flowers. I saw a purple object about the size of 2 fists slowly moving in the flower cluster, and even pieces of eggshells remained behind it. After seeing that thing, Yi Yu looked surprised and reached out his hand, unable to help but pick it up. I saw this guy all in purple, with squinted eyes, a tender mouth, a small nose, and a very cute flesh-like texture. But this appearance made Yi Yu feel very familiar. Isn't this the purple scorpion demon bull? Is it just that this place itself is the nest of the purple scorpion demon bull? In terms of style and form, this little one is exactly the same as the purple scorpion magic bull, except that there is no diagonal growth on its forehead. However, the tail behind it is actually a scorpion tail, constantly being played with, but its body is too small, as if it has just been born, making it appear very tender. I don't know. Yi Yu was a bit skeptical and looked around a few times. This cave doesn't seem like the nest of the purple scorpion demon bull, it just doesn't have any traces of being pressed over. Chapter 7. Washing Tendons and Cutting Marrow. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The body of the little purple scorpion magic cow in his hand bounced up, and his petite body jumped out of Yi Yu's hand. Then, he jumped into the flower bushes in front of him. After falling, he blinked his eyes at Yi Yu and opened his mouth, freely entering the flowers and eating them one by one. It's hard to imagine that such a small guy, who seems to have just emerged from the eggshell, can actually jump and jump. Yi Yu couldn't help but be shocked, truly deserving of being a demon beast. However, he didn't quite understand where this little guy came from. Even though he had been practicing these days and hadn't sensed the surrounding environment, if a monster came to lay eggs, he shouldn't have been unaware. Could it be that the mother of this little guy laid her eggs here even before she came? Apart from this conclusion, Yi Yu can no longer think of it. In less than half a minute, the little purple scorpion magic bull jumped out of the flower bushes and ate less than 10 light purple flowers. However, at this moment, the body of the little purple scorpion magic bull trembled with purple light. Like a divine beast, purple light revolves around its body. The faint wave of demonic power made this little guy feel uncomfortable. This is... Yi Yu immediately woke up from his thoughts, took a few steps back, and his face was fierce. But the purple light was still expanding, only 3 minutes had passed. Immediately, at a speed visible to the naked eye, the body of the little purple scorpion magic bull slowly expanded and only stopped when it grew to about the size of a kitten. Seemingly feeling extremely exhausted, the exhausted body of the little purple scorpion demon bull fell asleep amidst the flowers and plants. Upon seeing this shocking scene, even a fool could tell that the flowers by the cave in front of Yi Yu were definitely some spiritual flowers, and in the blink of an eye, they turned into a little creature that had just emerged from the egg. Even after eating only a few flowers just now, it grew at a visible speed. What kind of flower is this? It's so magical. Yi Yu ignored the sleeping purple scorpion and magic bull, and his gaze shifted entirely to the vast expanse of pale purple flowers. He was usually bored in the sect and knew a lot about spiritual plants and trees, but it was still the first time he had seen these flowers in front of him. In addition, both spirit grass and spirit flower carry spiritual energy, which can be seen at a glance. Obviously, these flowers in front of me do not carry any spirituality. But how can the flowers here have such a strange effect? Is it possible that this flower has a different effect on the purple scorpion magic bull? In heaven and earth, only spiritual vegetation can produce unique medicinal effects. The flowers in front of us not only lack spirituality, but they are mostly in large numbers. However, this effect is really puzzling. What kind of flowers and plants are these? Yi Yu was still quite cautious. He slowly picked a light purple flower and gently chewed it in his mouth. However, as soon as it was crushed, the medicinal herbs in his mouth immediately felt a sensation of heat, which flowed down his throat. Under this feeling, it seemed as if a heat flow was flowing through Yi Yu's body, and there was an indescribable sensation throughout his body. As if there were some blockages in the body that were unobstructed, an indescribable pleasure. As the comfort grew stronger, Yi Yu's body felt tired and his hunger gradually faded away, but his eyelids began to fight. It seems like I haven't slept for more than 10 days, and I really want to have a big sleep. Unconsciously, Yi Yu was awakened by the sound of chirping. He doesn't know how long he slept, anyway he slept soundly and sweetly. The eyes were slowly opened, and what caught the eye was a purple scorpion magic bull about the size of an adult puppy standing in front of him. A pair of bull eyes were looking at him, blinking and blinking, extremely cute, and at this moment, 2 dots protruded from his head. Oh my goodness! I can't do it. It's getting bigger again. Before going to bed, this little guy was only the size of a kitten, but now it has become the size of a puppy, almost twice as big. And by the time Yi Yu glanced again, the group of pale purple flowers in front had already been consumed by this little guy by more than 10 plants. I finally understand that this kind of purple flower is very helpful for both humans and animals. He must be an unknown expert who wants to find this place to practice so that he can use these purple flowers for his cultivation. However, unfortunately, in the end, he will not be able to enjoy these things. Yi Yu sat up and smiled bitterly. He tasted this spiritual herb and knew how it felt for the human body. And the purple scorpion magic bull also happened to eat this thing, which verified Yi Yu's idea. This is... Yi Yu slowly stood up, feeling a sticky sensation all over his body, as if he had been coated with a layer of mud, which was very uncomfortable. How could this be? When he stood up straight and saw clearly his hands, legs, and even all over his body, Yi Yu was stunned. There were layers of black coating all over my body, which was incredibly black, but it smelled even worse than feces. More importantly, it was everywhere on my body, even on my face and forehead. Wash the tendons and cut the marrow. Four simple characters murmured out from Yi Yu's mouth. As a disciple of the Qianming sect, I naturally know how to wash tendons and cut marrow. The saying of washing tendons and cut marrow is based on the unblocking of some blocked substances in the human body, allowing the entire body's muscles and veins to be unobstructed. Some of those cultivators have excellent talents. Some people have foolish qualifications, but the reason is actually due to the condition of the tendons and meridians. Those with good talent have unobstructed tendons and meridians with few impurities, while those with poor talent have impurities trapped in the tendons and meridians. When the vitality passes, it cannot circulate properly, resulting in inferior cultivation compared to others. Of course, it is not impossible to have a person with blocked tendons and meridians dispel the blockage. You only need a master of Hua Yuan to wash the tendons and cut the marrow for you, but the prerequisite is that a famous master of Hua Yuan realm will consume a lot of energy after washing the tendons and cutting the marrow for this person. It's impossible to recover without 3 or 5 years. But what Yi Yu really didn't expect was that this strange purple flower has the effect of washing tendons and cutting marrow. Yi Yu can now be 100% certain that he has definitely been stripped of his tendons and marrow. Nowadays, the muscles and meridians throughout the body are unobstructed, creating an indescribable sense of comfort. The reversal of Yuanli is extremely lightweight. It's like taking off a heavy armor and becoming light and ethereal. My muscles and meridians determine my aptitude. Now that I have washed my tendons and cut my marrow, I'm afraid that my cultivation won't catch up with Yan Feng. Yi Yu smiled coldly, his heart full of confidence. Yan Feng, you wait for me. Yi Yu's heart was filled with fervor, and he wanted to talk about the hope that the 9 changes in heaven had given him. Now that hope has increased even more. Because from then on, he is no longer the kind of person with stupid qualifications. At present, Yi Yu picked another light purple flower and stuffed it into his mouth, slowly chewing it. This time, the same effect as last time, the warmth slowly surged throughout the body, creating an indescribable sense of comfort. The whole body was warm and itchy, but slightly different from before. After eating the second plant, Yi Yu did not experience the same fatigue as before. Instead, he was extremely excited and his body was full of strength. Whether it was his muscles or fists, it seemed that they could explode at any time, and the burning sensation slowly floated up. What a strange feeling. This heat is actually refining my skin. It seems that this light purple flower not only has the effect of washing tendons and marrow, but also has the effect of strengthening the body in bonding. When this heat disappeared, Yi Yu's own strength was several times stronger than before. In this heat, some black substances floated in the skin again, still smelling extremely bad, but much less than before. After Yi Yu found a place of spring water and cleared the material from his body, Yi Yu's skin became shiny and translucent, as white as jade, sharp and tight. Before, Yi Yu's muscles were still carrying a hint of excess flesh, but now all that excess flesh has disappeared, leaving behind muscles all over his body. Combined with her jade-like muscles, she has become handsome countless times compared to before. Yi Yu crawled out of the water, feeling calm. He can be absolutely certain that this kind of spiritual grass is not an ordinary flower or plant, but a rare spiritual grass. It's just that this unique spiritual grass doesn't emit any spiritual energy. Yi Yu didn't dare to think much, so he immediately sat cross-legged and followed the cultivation method of breaking the heavens and 9 transformations. He began to gather elemental strength from various muscles and meridians, slowly reversing into the elixir field. As expected, at this moment, the absorption of elemental energy was several times faster than before, and in no time, a thick amount of elemental energy had already gathered in the dantian. Compared to before, in just a short while, the effect is quite half a month. And in the reversal, it's not as difficult and tiring as before, just like a natural outcome. The body's skin becomes sharper and more erect with the baptism and fluctuation of vitality. First, it's about washing tendons and cutting marrow, and then it's about strengthening the key body. This is a rare treasure. Anyway, this kind of spiritual herb must not be known by outsiders, otherwise it will definitely cause a lot of trouble in the future. Eating this purple flower, the effect and speed of cultivation are simply increasing at a visible speed. And in just a short while, you seem to have changed a person. My strength has increased and my physical fitness has become stronger. I have also washed my tendons and marrow. It just makes up for my physical shortcomings and insufficient qualifications. Before, I was a bit tired, but now I am full of energy, and no matter which part of my body, there has been a strong change. For a warrior, this is a huge benefit. 10 days have passed again. It has been almost 20 days since I left the sect. Yiyu's daily life is very simple. He cultivates in the valley to break through the 9 transformations of heaven and earth. During his cultivation, he still wields his sword like before, condensing his elemental strength to reverse his muscles and meridians, in order to refine his mind and spirit. When tired, eating purple flowers, after eating this strange flower, the black substance flowing out of Yiyu's body gradually became scarce. It was not until the 8th day that the black substance was completely removed, which also meant that all of Yiyu's muscles and veins were unobstructed. Practice more rapidly. In theory, when purple flowers achieve a certain degree of expelling substances from the body of leaf feathers, this type of flower should lose its effect. It can be imagined, but the opposite is completely true, because the purple flower also has an effect on human bond bodies that is not generally good. Chapter 8. Leaving the Valley. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. When Yiyu ate the second purple flower, it caused his muscles to undergo degeneration. However, in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th plants, the actual effect was revealed. That's power boosting. Boom! A loud explosion sounded in the valley, and Yiyu's dirty body was simply punched towards a large stone weighing over 2,000 kilograms in the valley ahead. When the stone touched the fist, it was smashed into pieces like cotton, and the shattered stone drifted everywhere, falling into the valley. Yiyu easily smiled and withdrew his fist, looking at his own. His fist was still as white as jade, with a faint hint of health. Even with that punch just now, there was no damage to the skin. For 10 consecutive days, not only have I successfully broken through and entered the 6th level of the Jiyuan realm, but my strength has undergone a shocking change compared to before. Although I have not yet undergone the first change of the 9 changes, the divine power change. However, my strength has increased by at least 10 times compared to before. According to the power of a warrior on the 6th level of the Jiyuan realm, having 500 kilograms of power is considered divine power. However, for 10 consecutive days, under the tempering of purple flower, Yiyu's power has reached a terrifying number. Well, according to the differentiation of the punch just now, there should be a force of 3,000 kilograms, right? If it's an outsider, seeing a kid from Jiyuan realm with 3,000 kilograms of power will definitely scare you. You should know that this is the power of a master from Jiyuan realm. And it also requires gathering the strength that can only be gathered under the vitality. But Yiyu, without using any vitality, only used his brute force to create a force of 3,000 kilograms. A strong body represents a good foundation for the path of cultivation. Only with a good body can one go further. Now that I have successfully washed my tendons and cut through my marrow, I have also acquired the breaking heaven and 9 transformations technique, which goes against the heavens. Who dares to stop my footsteps in the future? For the future, Yiyu's eyes are bright. At present, after calming down his emotions, Yiyu went to the tomb of an unknown expert to pay his respects. I have been living in the valley for 17 days now, and it's time to go back because the deadline for returning 2 tasks is only 1 month. After 1 month, the task will be automatically cancelled. The task to calculate Yi Yu has failed. Of course, more importantly, after Yi Yu ate a purple flower today. Whether it's the cessation of the flow of black matter within the body, or even the disappearance of enhanced body heat. It's as simple as eating ordinary medicinal herbs. Yi Yu is not foolish from the perspective of the effect now. This clearly indicates that one is beginning to become immune to purple flowers, and this thing has completely lost its effect on oneself. So, Yi Yu had to make up his mind to leave just to his regret. These 10 days have passed. Apart from a significant improvement in physical fitness and strength, there is still no feeling of entering the first phase of transformation. After kneeling in front of the tomb of the unknown master for a while and bidding farewell, Yi Yu walked into the cave to tidy up. In the cave, the little purple scorpion magic cow remained the same as before, sleeping and sleeping. For some reason, after eating the purple flower for the second time, this little one never touched a single purple flower again and instead slept all day. Only occasionally do I glance at Yi Yu and then continue to sleep. Yi Yu took out a piece of cloth and quickly swept through the remaining 70 or 80 purple flowers in the cave, picking them all. But trouble came quickly. 70 or 80 purple flowers are not a small number. They are enough to carry a large backpack when wrapped up, and it's hard to know how many purple flowers will be damaged when carried around. By the way, didn't I find a space ring under the ashes of an unknown expert? Yi Yu suddenly remembered this matter, and naturally knew about the spatial ring. This thing is the size of a ring, but it has a lot of room to accommodate. It's just that this kind of thing itself is rare and expensive, and poor people like Yi Yu have no right to have it. Even sects like Qingmu's sect are only qualified to wear it by the sect leader and some elders. Moreover, most experts like to hide their treasures around them, so wearing a space ring is very normal. Senior, since I have inherited your tradition, then everything about you should be inherited by me. Yi Yu smiled and took out the inconspicuous black small ring from his arms. According to ancient books, he bit his finger and dripped some blood to invade the surface of the ring. I saw a bright light on the ring and then withdrew it. Under this simple change, it means that the owner of the ring will be Yi Yu from now on. Because the unnamed master died, the ring became the owner of nothing. Now that Yi Yu has shed blood and recognized the owner, it naturally belongs to him. Yi Yu immediately put the ring on his finger, and then his mind slowly entered the ring in his hand. In vain, his mind was empty, as if he had come to another world. This place covers an area of about 200 square meters, like a stone house built in stone, which is very spacious and not very elegant in decoration. Here, what Yi Yu sees is very simple. A hanger, on which stands a set of black clothes with a cloak, but a black peacock is depicted on the chest of the black robe. And in a corner of the cloak, there hangs a black robe, on which a peacock is also depicted. Yi Yu really wants to scold his mother now. He thought that the unknown expert would leave him some wealth, not anything else. At least giving a few taels of silver is not too much, is it? But at first glance, I couldn't even see an ant. Okay. Yi Yu only now realized how poor that expert was. Others have at least a few taels of silver left, but what about him? Surprisingly, he only left himself a set of clothes. After transitioning from the space ring, Yi Yu immediately sent those purple flowers into the space ring. This strange purple flower must have other uses. Since it's a waste to leave here, it's better to take it with you. After tidying up well, Yi Yu carried the Qingmu sword behind him and then walked peacefully towards the outside of the valley. Haw! As soon as Yi Yu left, the purple scorpion demon followed him with a bumpy tail, and then ran around beside Yi Yu, looking extremely cute. Little one, I'm leaving now. You go back. I'll come and see you in the future. During half a month of contact, Yi Yu developed a slight affection for this little guy who relied on him for his livelihood. Although a big purple scorpion demon bull had chased him before, Yi Yu couldn't have any killing intent on this little guy. Haw! The little guy tilted his head back, his watery eyes gently turning towards Yi Yu, and even the front pair of claws gently grabbed Yi Yu's pants and shook them a few times. No way. It's too lethal. Is this also a monster? Yi Yu is puzzled. I always feel like this guy is a person. How could they still make such a deadly move? Do you want to come with me? Yi Yu said somewhat unwillingly. Carrying a little monster around is not a good thing. Haw! The little one gave a bull-like smile and lightly tapped his head. Then the petite body, as small as a puppy, suddenly bounced up and landed on Yi Yu's shoulder. Surprisingly, there is no intention of shaking at all. How old is this guy? How powerful is he? Yi Yu thought to himself, glancing at the purple scorpion magic bull on his shoulder. A look of surprise appeared in his eyes. Well, just follow along. If you get tired of it in the future, just leave. Yi Yu is a very open-minded person. Since he wants to follow, let's follow him. Anyway, I also lack a partner myself. After speaking, one person and one beast walked step by step towards the outside of the valley. During half a month of living in the valley, Yi Yu developed feelings for this place and was also tired of this dry and uninteresting cultivation. However, he did not regret coming here because the existence of this place changed his life. If it weren't for falling off the cliff by chance, I wouldn't have entered the cave below that waterfall. I will never encounter an unknown expert, and even achieve the 9 transformations of heaven. Not to encounter light purple flowers, to wash tendons and marrow, and even to transform the body. Yi Yu searched for a steep path under the cliff valley, although it was a bit difficult, at least he could get out of here. After 3 consecutive days of exercise, Yi Yu finally climbed out of this valley and arrived in the forest outside. Remember, before I fell off the cliff. The big earthworm instantly killed a 3rd-level monster, the purple scorpion demon bull. Now, although I have mastered sword energy and my own tremendous strength has reached 3,000 kilograms, my cultivation has also increased significantly. However, if I fight against a 3rd-level or even higher monster, there is no chance of winning. It seems like I should take a detour. Yi Yu stood on a rock, gazing at a large forest in front of him. If it's some 2nd-level monster beasts, or even ordinary 3rd-level monster beasts, Yi Yu may have some confidence in dealing with them, but when it comes to monsters that can instantly kill the 3rd-level monster purple scorpion and magic bull, Yi Yu directly vetoed. Haw! The little purple scorpion demon bull on his shoulder let out a soft shout and moved his mouth a few times. Very cute. Yi Yu smiled and turned his head. In the past few days, he had noticed that this little guy had a big characteristic with the purple scorpion magic bull, which was that it had no scales on its body, but rather a furry, all-purple fur. At the same time, its feet were not like the hooves of the purple scorpion magic bull, but a pair of sharp claws. Little guy. Are you afraid? Haha. Let's go. Let's leave here together. Yi Yu left a deep impression on the forest in front of him. He didn't want to encounter that terrifying and ferocious earthworm again. After speaking, Yi Yu turned around step by step, running towards the direction behind me. Chapter 9. Xiaozi's Power. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Roar. As soon as his steps fell into the forest behind him, a roar that shook the air came from under his feet. Upon hearing the sound, Yi Yu's face changed. The soil beneath his feet swelled and lifted, causing the earth to crack open. A huge earthworm that 3 or 4 people couldn't hold on to emerged like a legendary dragon. Not good. Yi Yu rolled over from the ground and only glanced behind him, his face pale with fear. No matter how calm he is, he must not be afraid at this moment. From the huge monster's body shape, it is the big earthworm chasing after it. Yi Yu didn't understand. He had already turned around and had never passed by that forest. How could it possibly come after him? Even crawled out from under my own feet. Damn it, what the hell is that? Others don't chase after me, they just chase after me. Yi Yu really wanted to curse, but quickly pulled out his Qingmu sword and reversed his power. A trace of sword energy left the blade and shot towards the big earthworm in front. But the scene before her completely shook Yi Yu. When the sword energy landed on the skin of the big earthworm, it was bounced open and immediately shot into a nearby tree. It doesn't have any effect on it. If encountering some experts who are stronger than oneself, with the support of the opponent's powerful elemental strength, it is highly possible to block the sword energy. But in front of me, this big earthworm, without using any of its demonic power, actually broke through its sword energy with only the strength of its body. Damn it! Yi Yu really wanted to curse, his sword energy was several times stronger than ordinary attacks, but he was so easily blocked in front of him. Boom! Quickly, Yi Yu grabbed the big tree with one hand that about 2 adults next to him couldn't hold, and the whole tree was simply lifted by him. I grabbed it directly from the soil. Immediately, he lifted the tree trunk with one hand and threw it at the head of the big earthworm. In the half-month in the Cliff Valley, Yi Yu's power reached a tremendous force of 3,000 kilograms under the baptism of purple flowers, pulling out a big tree, which was beneficial for him. Very simple. And he grabbed the big tree and vigorously smashed it down, weighing at least tens of thousands of pounds. But when the big tree fell, the big earthworm opened its mouth and took a bite, like a gear. All the big trees were strangled clean and rolled up into powder, falling down one after another. At the same time, the big earthworm did not stop. Although the sword energy just now did not harm it, it felt extremely uncomfortable. The thick and disgusting tail swung directly towards Yi Yu. In the area where the tail passed, the surrounding trees were like a pile of sand, directly destroyed immediately. It hit Yi Yu heavily on his chest. Yi Yu felt like a train had hit him, and his body unconsciously rushed towards him, causing the trees that were hit to collapse one by one. The last mouthful of blood spurted out, and the body collapsed straight to the ground. After landing on the ground, Yi Yu felt as if his whole body had fallen apart, and his bones had sunken in his chest. He took a breath and his mouth was emitting blood, causing waves of huge pain in his chest. What's even more uncomfortable is that the saliva of the big earthworm is sticking to its chest, and the clothes on its chest have been melted and untied, slowly corroding its body. If it weren't for Yi Yu's body being as sharp as jade after quenching, this saliva would have completely corroded his muscles and bones. Under this excruciating pain, Yi Yu didn't even think about it. He slapped his hands and lifted his body straight up. According to the division of strength, this big earthworm is at least a level 4 to 5 monster, and the two are not of the same level. And Yi Yu's disadvantage is very obvious, which is the lack of elemental strength. He is just the 6th level of Jiyuan realm, and Dantian's strength is very limited. Although the technique of breaking through the heavens and 9 transformations is very rebellious, after all, he has not yet cultivated it and has not even achieved the first transformation. So, the elemental strength in Dantian is still only slightly lower than that of ordinary 6th level martial artists in the Jiyuan realm. Roar! Yi Yu's body was together, and the big earthworm opened its mouth and came directly behind him to strangle. The huge-mouthed gears swept past, and the trees on both sides collapsed one after another. But when that huge mouth touched Yi Yu, suddenly, Yi Yu threw a backhand punch and landed on the head of the big earthworm. The earthworm was hit by this punch and its body was thrown out, rolling on the ground in several circles. And around its body was a black aura, spreading throughout the forest. In those areas where the black aura was pervasive, the grass on the ground slowly withered, and the leaves of the trees gradually turned yellow. Not good. Upon seeing it, Yi Yu's face suddenly changed. This mist clearly contains highly toxic substances, otherwise flowers, plants, and trees would not have been completely corroded. Haw! However, at this moment, the purple scorpion demon bull, who had been sitting on Yi Yu's shoulder, let out a sharp scream from its small mouth. Like a little elf, floating in the void. Then the little mouth opened fiercely. A huge purple lightning shot out from its mouth and fell towards the big earthworm. Boom! With a loud explosion, the black mist from the big earthworm's mouth immediately stopped, and the surrounding mist slowly dissipated. A scorched stench rushed towards me. Roar! As soon as the lightning fell, the big earthworms roared loudly, their huge bodies rolling left and right, and the surrounding trees fell with a loud roar. Yi Yu was completely shocked by the scene before him, whether it was the little guy's flying ability or the lightning just now, it had already startled him. According to the strength division of the Tianyuan continent, only warriors in the Huayuan realm can solidify their bodies in the air based on the essence of their elemental power, allowing them to fly. Only then can one possess the ability to fly. According to the strength division of demon beasts, they possess levels 7 to 8 of strength and can also launch flights. But this little guy born less than a month ago can actually fly. More importantly, the lightning just now. Surprisingly, it made Yi Yu feel the power of destruction. What is the origin of this? Little guy. Say it's the purple scorpion magic bull. It's not like that, after all, it doesn't have the scales of a magic cow, nor does it have hooves, but rather claws. There are even many differences in body shape. Yi Yu was stunned for a moment, and the little one let out a sharp cry. Then, a small lightning covered its body, and the lightning shook around its small body. Then, it was like a hemp rope. The flying earthworms shrouded the past. Boom! Suddenly, there was a huge explosion, and the entire huge rolling earthworm fell after lightning. Directly smashed into powder, saliva sprayed everywhere, and the gray soil water slowly smashed around from inside the big earthworm's body. As soon as the mud and water sprayed onto the big tree, the trees clattered and were corroded into a black mist. Haw! The little one's body turned into a purple light as it fell. It immediately landed on Yi Yu's shoulder. The purple body, now covered in mud, was cracking open and smiling at Yi Yu. And on its left paw, it is holding a glowing stone. He was waving his small paws and shaking in front of Yi Yu's face. Yi Yu had already stared at it with wide eyes. There was a look of astonishment in his eyes. The earthworm kills the purple scorpion demon bull in seconds, which requires at least the strength of a 4th level monster. But this big earthworm was instantly killed by the little one. Of course, what made Yi Yu even more tempted was that there was actually a demonic crystal inside the body of this big earthworm. As a warrior, Yi Yu naturally knows the preciousness of demon crystals. You should know that out of 1,000 monsters at levels 1 to 4, there is very little chance of producing a demon crystal. Even for monsters above level 5, there is only a 1 in 10 chance of producing a demon crystal. That is to say, killing 1,000 level 1 to 4 monster beasts may lead to the production of a demon crystal. Killing 10 monsters above level 5 can also produce a demon crystal. But 1,000 level 1 to 4 monsters and even 10 level 5 monsters. What a terrifying force this is. A warrior went to kill, but I don't know how long it will take. And the monster itself is powerful, how could it stand and be slaughtered? So, in the human world, as long as it is a demon crystal, regardless of its level, it is definitely valuable but not marketable. More importantly, every warrior understands one point. The demon crystal contains powerful power, and when the warriors are locked in the level, they can use the demon power inside the demon crystal to charge through. In any era, as long as a demon crystal appears, it will be sold at an auction at a sky-high price. However, like martial artists, if someone obtains the demon crystal, they usually stay by their side to use when they encounter levels. I won't be foolish enough to send it out. Little one, are you really amazing? Yi Yu woke up in shock and looked at the little one in astonishment. At the same time, he took the demon crystal from its paw and explained, "Little guy, this thing can't be taken out and played with casually, otherwise it will cause a lot of trouble. I'll put it away for you. Speaking, the demon crystal of the big earthworm was sent by Yi Yu into the space ring. The demonic crystal inevitably emits a demonic aura when placed outside, but when placed inside the space ring, it can avoid these troubles. Haw! The little one showed a faint smile, and his little head nodded cute. Yi Yu wiped the soil off his body and wiped it a few more times for the little one. Little guy, I can't believe you're so powerful. A lightning bolt actually killed that 4th level monster, the big earthworm. Yi Yu praised the little guy and said, you're so powerful, and it's also a lightning attack. Now you don't have a name, so you should call yourself Xiaozi in the future. Haw! The little one seemed very satisfied with the name, and his small paw on his chest scratched in the air, shouting excitedly twice. I seem to strongly agree with this name. Alright, my whole body is so dirty and disgusting. Find a place to wash it well. Yi Yu smiled immediately when he saw Xiaozi's cute appearance. Turning around with the Qingmu sword in hand. Previously, due to fear of big earthworms, now big earthworms die. Yi Yu's heart finally let go. Of course, more importantly, Xiaozi is a super monster, and based on her previous strength, she is not weaker than a level 5 monster at all. With such a powerful bodyguard by his side, Yi Yu was arrogant enough. However, Yi Yu understands a little more. Because Xiaozi is powerful, let alone let it unleash its strength casually, otherwise it will be seen by those with intentions. It is easy to cause fatal accidents. Chapter 10. Qingmu Town. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Qingmu Town is the first small town outside the Lingyuan Mountains because it is close to the Lingyuan Mountains and there is no big city around. The small town is usually very lively. Whether it is disciples of various major sects or wandering martial artists in the martial arts world, they often venture into the mountains to kill some monsters and exchange for some money and flowers. Therefore, many merchants gather in the small town to obtain more benefits under the huge profits. Yi Yu crossed the Lingyuan Mountains and finally arrived at this small town after a 2-day journey. At this moment, as it was already noon, the residents and adventurers in the small town were unaware of the danger and still engaged in lively discussions about prices. From the streets, one could see some adventurers and even disciples of various sects setting up street stalls with valuable items such as the fur and bones of monsters. The merchants began their business and discussed prices with these people. Yi Yu also knows a lot about this stall style of selling things, and this buying and selling method can bring more benefits. But it will take time. So Yi Yu didn't have the mood to sell some of the monsters he had killed here. It can only be sent to the grocery store, because the grocery store also purchases monster fur and various materials. Those people in the martial arts world who are in a tight time usually send their things to the grocery store. In the past 2 days, I have left from the direction of the sect all the way to Qingmu Town. Along the way, Yi Yu's luck was quite good. He killed a total of 4 level 1 monsters, which are very common in the forest and easy to hunt. Therefore, the selling price was not very high. So Yi Yu didn't waste time and directly sent these things to the grocery store. Shopkeeper, I have several demon beasts' fur and bones to sell. Can you help me order them and see how much they cost? In a Qianfeng grocery store, Yi Yu walked in and secretly took out 3 large packages from the storage ring and threw them directly onto the counter. Behind the counter was a young man who quickly regained his composure when he saw a guest coming, and he was also a warrior. Please wait a moment, sir. I'll go call the shopkeeper immediately. The young man saw the 3 big bags and knew that a big business was coming, so he had to call out the shopkeeper. About a minute later, an elderly man in his 50s and 60s ran out of the grocery store with a flushed face. These days, it is extremely rare for people to deliver monster materials to the grocery store. After all, delivering things to the grocery store naturally earns a lot of money, so the price offered is not high. So many people have become proficient in learning and know how to set up their own stalls, allowing those merchants to choose. Sir, are you selling monster skins and bones? Zhang, the shopkeeper, smiled at Yi Yu. With years of experience in looking at people, it was clear at a glance that this young man was not simple. Well, that's all. Can you help me order it and sell it at a fair price? Yi Yu pointed to 3 packages and said. Inside are all the skins and bones of the demon beasts he has hunted in the past few days, after the first time killing a demon beast. Yi Yu didn't think killing animals was too scary. Yes, yes, yes. I will immediately order from the young master. The price here is always fair, and in the future, if there are any monster skins or bones, our store will accept everything to ensure the young master's satisfaction. As soon as manager Zhang finished speaking, he immediately lit up the monster's skin and bones. If you can get a business in their field, just do it. After all, in this era where there is a shortage of monster skins and bones, many wealthy people like to use monster skins and bones as headgear. There are a total of 5 demon beast skins and bones, with a level of first-level demon beasts. According to the price of the demon beasts' bodies, each demon beast costs 5 taels of silver, so the total is 20.5 taels. I wonder if the young master is willing to sell them to our store. Manager Zhang finished counting the bones and skin inside the package and immediately calculated with a smile. Yi Yu doesn't understand this at all, he has no experience before. However, 20.5 taels is not a small amount. For an ordinary rural family, 20.5 taels can allow a whole family to live for 2 to 3 years, and it is also when the whole family is not working. Even as a disciple of a sect, this is still a considerable amount of wealth. Okay, just 25 taels. Yi Yu readily agreed. Hee. Young master is really refreshing, I will settle the account for him immediately. Zhang, the shopkeeper, immediately chuckled. According to the price given to those merchants, a first-level monster's skin and bones can be exchanged for 6 to 7 taels, and he only earned 5 taels in a few words. This deal is worth it. Quickly, the shopkeeper Zhang took out 25 taels of silver and carefully handed it to Yi Yu. My guest, what else can I do next time? Please remember our store. Ha. Definitely. Yi Yu withdrew the silver and nodded lightly, ready to walk towards the outside of the grocery store. But before turning around, a woman's voice came from behind. This woman's voice is as clear as a oriole, very beautiful. Master, look at it quickly. What a cute little monster is it? Behind Yi Yu, a girl of about 17 or 18 years old, with bright eyes and innocent hands, reached out to point at the little purple on Yi Yu's shoulder. Upon hearing the voice behind him, Yi Yu was stunned. His eyebrows furrowed. Turn around. Not far behind, a young girl wearing a purple robe with delicate hair and a face as delicate as white jade stood there, with a small hand pointing at little Z on her shoulder. This girl is very beautiful in both facial features and appearance, but she is slightly different from others. She carries an elegant and majestic aura, just like a little emperor who has been raised in her hands since childhood. And not far from the young girl was a handsome young man in his 20s. The young man wore a purple robe and, with his handsome face, stood with the young girl like a golden boy and jade girl. Hee. It's indeed a cute little monster. If junior sister likes it, senior brother can help you buy it for him, the handsome man agreed with a smile. That's great, senior brother. You're really good. The girl clenched her small fist and became excited, but her eyes were fixed on Xiaozi. Xiaozi seemed to feel the malice in the other person's eyes, and her mouth lightly pursed a few times. A pair of watery eyes pitifully looked at Yi Yu, and her body instinctively shrank. Brother, my junior sister has a crush on you, this little monster. I wonder if you can give it to me. As long as you offer me a price, any amount will do. The handsome man walked up to Yi Yu and said in a friendly voice. I'm sorry. It's not for sale. Yi Yu gave these two people a faint glance, turned to their sides, and then walked towards the grocery store. Leaving aside that Xiaozi doesn't belong to her own monster, it's just a friendship. Besides, Xiaozi is so powerful that he saved his own life. You wouldn't even sell Xiaozi like an item. Brother, why don't you consider it? Judging from the other party's clothing and attire, they are all those poor warriors. He doesn't pay attention to not liking money, does he? The man in the purple robe suddenly changed his expression, turned around, and called out to Yu's back. Forget it, senior brother. If he doesn't want to sell, then let it go. The girl was very disappointed and lowered her head lightly. She really likes that little monster, but the other party is unwilling to sell it and cannot force it. The handsome man sneered and looked at Yu's back, with a hint of murderous intent in his eyes. He approached the girl and said, "Junior sister, please rest assured. Senior brother will definitely find a way to buy this little monster for you." The girl was surprised when she heard senior brother's words and said, "Senior brother, you shouldn't have used the power of your Lin family's business association to make a purchase, right? In that case, there would be too much involvement. As long as junior sister likes it, senior brother will buy everything for you," said the handsome man sweetly. The girl lowered her head, pulled her small hand, and her mouth curled up. If it were for another girl, she would definitely be moved in a mess, but the girl couldn't be happy at all. After selling the fur of the monster, Yu did not leave Qingmu town, but walked towards a restaurant. Next are two tasks. One of them is to inquire about the whereabouts of the Mad Lion. Although Yu had not traveled to the martial arts world before, he still knew that the best way to inquire about someone's information was to go to those places where they drank alcohol. People who drink like to gather around and drink. When drinking, they like to talk, especially those martial artists who wander the rivers and lakes. Yu left a corner at the only inn in Qingmu town, which is called Qingmu Inn, just like the name of Qingmu town. This inn has a large area, consisting of 3 floors. The first and second floors are dining areas, and the third floor is guest rooms. At this time, it is time for lunch and drinking, and there are many guests coming and going. Yu found a quiet table and sat down. And casually ordered 2 side dishes and a pot of wine. A person slowly started drinking. Almost everywhere in the hall were voices of conversation, discussions, and so on, talking about where a major event occurred in the certain martial arts world, where people were killed, where powerful monsters appeared, and so on. To Yu's regret, there was no news of the Mad Lion at all. What a bad luck. After chasing the Mad Lion for so long, I didn't even see a shadow. A wild voice rang out from outside the inn. This voice caught Yu's gaze. A tall man was dressed in a brown warrior suit, with a big knife on his back, followed by 2 men and 2 women. Both men, like him, were dressed in brown warrior suits. The 2 women, one of whom was about 17 or 18 years old, wore a blue strong suit, but her eyes were cold and devoid of any emotion, as if Yu's gaze at the black peacock for the first time was not only sharp, but also carried a murderous aura. As for the other woman, who was about 30 years old and had a charming face, although also wearing samurai attire, she was enchanting and charming. The wild lion has killed so many people, it's strange not to hide early. Are you still waiting for us to kill him? A thin man beside the big man also sighed. Just keep looking. If I find that bastard, I will definitely kill him, said the big man angrily.